Hello, so this video we're going to look at the unit circle and how to label the unit circle with degrees, with radians, and the coordinates. So when we say unit, what does that really mean? Well, by unit we mean a unit of one, and that can be in any system of measurement. It can be 1 inch, 1 meter, 1 kilometer, 1 mile, 1 foot. That's really what we mean. It can be one of anything. Now, when we go to label the circle, what we're really trying to do is label divisions of the circle. So if you take a circle, there are many ways to divide it, but most commonly you would divide it into half, a fourth, and now from a fourth you can either divide each fourth in half, so you're getting eighths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or you could take a circle and you divide it in half, in fourths, and divide each fourth into thirds, right? So you'd be saying, here's about a third, here's about a third, and here's about a third, and maybe here's about a third. So when you divide a fourth into thirds, you're dividing to twelfths. So 1 twelfth, 2 twelfths, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 twelfths. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. Now, because of the way we measure the circle rotation, if you're looking at 360 degrees is 1 revolution, and we divide that, if we take 360 and divide it by 8 equal parts, we're going to get 45 degrees. So in that case, the eighths are really multiples of 45. And if you take 360 and you divide it by 12, you're going to get 30 degrees. So in that case, the twelfths are multiples of 30. So let's take a look at here. 0 degrees. Here are the eighths, so 45 degrees, add another 45, 90 degrees, add another 45, 135 degrees, add another 45, 180 degrees, add another 45, 225 degrees, add another 25, 270 degrees, add another 25, 315 degrees, add another 45 degrees, 360 degrees. Okay? Now if you do that with the 30s, okay, you're going to have 0 degrees, 30, 60, 90, so keep adding 30, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330, and 360. Okay, so there's your degrees. Now, let's talk about radians. 1 revolution in radians is 2 pi radians. All right, so if you take 2 pi and divide it into 8 equal parts, you're going to get pi over 4. So pi over 4 is equivalent to 45 degrees, and that's what we're going to look at, multiples of pi over 4. You could also look at 2 pi and divide it into 12 equal parts, and you're looking at pi over 6. So the 30 degrees are the same as the multiples of pi over 6. All right? So let's take a look at that. So here we would say 0 radians, pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, and you could of course reduce 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, and 8 pi over 4. All right. Now let's look at the multiples of pi over 6. So you have 0, pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, and 12 pi over 6. Okay? So here then we have all of this. And finally, of course, you would want to put in the coordinates of each of these points. So let's take a look at how this looks all together. And we're going to reduce as we go along. So I'd have 0 degrees. I'd have, let's do the 45s. 45, 90, 135, 180, 225, 270, 315, and 360. Okay. Now let's do the 30s. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330, and 360. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at the pi over 6's, multiples of. So 0, pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, which would reduce to pi over 3, 3 pi over 6, which would reduce to pi over 2, 4 pi over 6, which would reduce to 2 pi over 3, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, which would reduce to pi, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, which is 4 pi over 3, 9 pi over 6, which would reduce to 3 pi over 2, 10 pi over 6, which will reduce to 5 pi over 3, 10, and then 11 pi over 6, and then here 12 pi over 6, which will reduce to 2 pi. And now let's look at the 45s. So you have 0 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 7 pi over 4, 8 pi over 4. So we now have all of those labeled. Now we want to go ahead and do the coordinates. So over here at the, let's do these endpoints here. So we go 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and 0, negative 1. Okay. Now with the 30, 60, 90s, basically here with 30 degree, this is my reference angle. I'm going to go over a lot and up a little, which means I'm going to go square root 3 over 2 and up a half. With a 60 degree, I go over a little and up a lot. So I'm going to go over a little and up a lot. Okay. Then I can just reflect this. So this is negative square root 3 over 2 and up a half. This one is negative a half and up square root 3 over 2. So now I can reflect that these here, everything here. So this is the equivalent of the 30 degrees. So I go over a lot in the negative and down a little in the negative. So this is negative square root 3 over 2, negative a half. Whereas here at the 240 is the reflection of the 60 degrees. So I go over a little and down a lot. So this is going to be over a little and down a lot. Okay. Here I'm going to go over a little but positive and down a lot. So this is going to be a half and negative square root 3 over 2. Okay. Finally, 11 pi over 6 is over a lot, positive, and down a little bit, negative. So square root 3 over 2, negative a half. Okay. And now the square root 2's over 2's. So this is square root 2 over 2, square root 2 over 2. This is, in the x is negative, but the y is positive. Okay. Over here, they're both negative. And finally over here, x is positive, y is negative. They're all square root 2 over 2's. And that completes the unit circle. The only other thing I'd like to mention is a lot of times you're not given such a nice circle, you may or may not be. So how do you generate one very quickly? So what I do is I draw a circle, and I know I'm going to draw fourths I draw the 8ths last. What I do is I exaggerate a little bit on the 30 degrees, the multiples of 30. So I know there's 2 that are going to be close to the x's, to the x-axis, so I kind of put them a little closer than they really are. And then I know I've got the 60 degrees, something like this, so they're really close to the y-axis. And then I've got, in the middle, are going to be my pi over 4s. So that's how I do that kind of quickly. Now, what some people will do to memorize these, like basically I derive this by just showing you logically how the unit circle is divided, right? There are some mnemonics that you can do. For example, here, very close to the x-axis, all of these are the pi over 6s. And then in the middle you have the pi over 4s, right? So it creates like a rectangle. So these are the pi over 4s. And then up here close to the y-axis, these are the pi over 3s. Right? And of course, at the very tips, you could say the pi over 2s. Right? Okay. So that's another way to kind of memorize them if you like. All right? But in the end, you should be able to go fast enough to reproduce this entire circle with everything that you see on it in 5 minutes or less. Thanks for listening.